Hello, welcome to another edition of Convict Inc. This is Robert Rosso. Please, if you have not subscribed and you watch these videos, and a lot of you do, please hit the subscribe button. Otherwise, please, if you like the video, hit like. This might not be one of those no shooting violent videos or nothing like that, so you guys might be disappointed if that's the case, nor will it be a mob video anyway, this is something a little different. This one's about my experience in prison and medical care, and since I've been out. Okay, so I've told you guys already many times that I have recurring bladder cancer. Let me back up to entering the Federal Bureau of Prisons. When everybody comes into the feds, they get a screening questionnaire, fill out a bunch of stuff. Have you had this, and this. Okay, I recommend you try to remember, first of all, what you had, and maybe even, that's a very important document that'll stick with you for the rest of your incarceration. Okay, so when I was at Leavenworth, the first thing they did when I went in was they have some kind of exam. I was 28, didn't have much problems wrong with me, childhood asthma, blah, 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 named them off. There was a doctor there at the time that no matter what you had, always came up with, you need a finger wave. So like somehow he would always get it to like, you want to check your prostate, okay? I didn't know at the time that I entered, that was at Leavenworth. I didn't know that this doctor or this PA, physician's assistant, did this to people. And I'll never forget, after it happened to me, I said something to my cellie and I told him what PA I had seen, and he started laughing. He said, he got you, boy, didn't he? This guy, like I said, didn't matter what, he wanted to check people's prostates. I never had any other problems, really, the first 5 years. Back problems, I'm sorry. I did have back issues. When I got into fight, cell extractions, whatever, that reoccurred because I'd had back surgery when I was in my 20s. Had some heart issues that I've had all my life. So that's the only things I really had to deal with. The back issue was I was in pain, but really I was seeking narcotics. Just the truth. The heart issue, probably stress related to gambling, but that flared up. But I didn't have to go to any specialists. I didn't have to go to any outside hospitals. My life did not depend on whether or not I went to medical. When I arrived at Lewisburg in 2003, it was pretty quickly after that I found out that I had hepatitis C. That was as a result of using drugs intravenously in prison. Again, I never have used a needle on the street, even to this day. I started when I was in prison. Okay, so right on the heels of being diagnosed with Hep C came the bladder cancer. Now, as I've said in the video about bladder cancer, the first time that I realized something was wrong was when I had started peeing blood. And it took me 9 months, almost a year, to get that dealt with, meaning to get them to bring me out to check and see, to diagnose me with recurring bladder cancer, which ultimately became recurring bladder cancer. Somebody asked me earlier on the comment section, I made a comment that I believed that gabapentin or Neurontin was the cause of my bladder cancer. And let me go ahead and take this time to elaborate. What had happened was, because I was seeking narcotics for back relief, at Leavenworth, meaning that I had back pain, but really it was bad, but I didn't need like narcotics 24/7, but I was trying to get narcotics so I would never fail another drug test again. I wanted Tylenol with codeine. I didn't want nothing stronger. That would have been fine. So I was seeking narcotics. Now, they gave me gabapentin as a first stage drug. Try this first. And the doctor, whose name was Dr. Tharp, she's since retired, who was there because of an insurance scandal, I do believe, or she was overprescribing medication. When I went to her, she's the kind of doctor you can say, hey, listen, I'm trying to get on drugs to beat a drug test. Like, that's what kind of doctor she was. She was like in her 70s and 1990s. So, anyway, Real cool doctor. I remember she gave me Neurontin or gabapentin. It was back in the day, and she told me just if I didn't feel it, just keep taking some. She's basically saying if you're not high, just keep taking them. You'll get high eventually, and she was right. So I started abusing gabapentin. 600 milligrams. I was taking them 10 to 15 pills a day, and at one point, I found out that 8 was like my magic number. That's what like made everything perfect in my life. I took those for over a year. A lot of people started abusing that drug, along with baclofen. So it was like a nerve relaxer, a muscle relaxer, and that was like, ooh, that was like a magic carpet ride. Really, it was like an acid trip. Sometimes, like you're on heroin. Sometimes it was like all over the place. So did do that. So I was reading about bladder cancer, and for some reason I read something about gabapentin. I'm not sure if gabapentin or Neurontin was the first one. I don't know. Somebody can tell me. I know there's a lot of guys that were there at Leavenworth with me. Which was it? Was it gabapentin? Was the generic, or Neurontin was the generic form, or vice versa? I think it was gabapentin is what they gave us, actually, 600 milligrams. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And let me tell you something, 120 pills in a bottle. Today is Sunday. I can go turn my prescription in, a full refill, get a full refill, it would be by Tuesday, 120 pills, turn it in Tuesday night, and get another full refill on Thursday. Why? Because it said as needed, and I needed to take 120 pills every day, basically every other day. That's what and I've got like records for over a year that gave me just that. Whenever I turn my bottle in, I got a refill. I read that they caused bladder cancer in 0.6% of laboratory rats. So, okay, same kind of bladder cancer. I overtook them. That's where I put that together. I've told my urologist in recent years, or actually started telling him from the beginning, look, I think this is because I took Neurontin. Also, I could have got bladder cancer from drinking methamphetamine. Is that a thing? I don't know, but I drank methamphetamine for 7-8 months when I was out in 96, 97. And before that, I was out 5 months, and I drank it every day for 5 months, 20 days, whatever I was out. So could that have caused it? Your urine gets stagnant when you're on meth and drinking that shit. So maybe, I think so. Now, the 3 reasons you get bladder cancer are smoking, some disease that you get in third world countries, and industrial. So when I read that mice get bladder cancer by taking Neurontin 6% or whatever, that's where I put that together. So that answers that question. Okay. After I was initially going through the deal with the bladder cancer, that's taking 9 months to get me out and like say, this is cancer and take the cancer out of me. Those were a rough 9 months. I battled with medical constantly. After that, at Lewisburg, things were pretty smooth. When you're in a care level 1-2 facility and you have something like cancer that you're supposed to be care level 3, so in Federal Bureau of Prisons, there's care level 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 is like dying. 1's like you're almost pretty much okay. When you're at a care level 1-2 facility, such as Lewisburg, and you have a serious issue, they'll see you constantly. That's an advantage there. So remember that anybody who has cancer in federal prison at a care level 1 or 2 facility. Now, I got sent to Butner FMC in 2007 for cancer. All my appointments were timely, never a problem, never an issue while I was at the FMC. My problem started when I was across the street at Butner 1. There was a systemic problem in getting inmates from point A to point B. That is the prison to the hospital where you saw the contract doctors, or God forbid, the outside hospital if something's really serious. Or they have an OR, they have an operating unit inside the Butner FMC. And that's where they did the bladder stuff. There was a time when I was like 9 months. 9 months passed by and I didn't receive a cystoscopy. So standard routine, you get diagnosed with bladder cancer, and it's non-invasive like mine, grade 1. Every 3 months for the first 2 years, you go out and get a scope to make sure it doesn't reoccur. If that passes, then it's every 6 months, then it's every year after the first 5 years. Mine reoccurred often. And there was a time at Butner 1 that I was 9 months late. And I started filing paperwork and I'm saying, listen, I think that my tumors are getting bigger, blah, blah, blah. Like freaking out because, I wasn't being seen in a timely manner. That happened at Butner 1. That happened at Butner 2. At Butner 2, they actually knew I had cancer in me, and it took like another 8 months to get me out one time. They even tried to transfer me. It's a different issue for reasons because I was writing. They tried to transfer me to a care level 1 facility when I had cancer in me. And that actually took an act of Congress to get done, meaning a senator, actually it's a congresswoman from California, started writing the warden and questioning my health. So I had to become real proactive to get things done. Typically, if a doctor likes you, you have a good impression, they'll do whatever they can for you. Remember that too. First impression matters. The PAs, because they're so overburdened, things start breaking down. So you have to be on top of your medical needs if that's what you have. All right. I went to FCI Terre Haute from Butner FCI 2. And there was a time when I went out for doctor visit. They said, they ran a scope on me. Oh yeah, you got cancer. We're going to see you in a month. And it was almost 9 months again. 9 months had passed without me getting the cancer removed. They came back and said the cardiologist had to clear me. So again, there was a systemic problem between different departments, different agencies, etc. So finally, the heart doctor cleared me. I got the cancer taken out of me. Now, one of my concerns was that the cancer would enter my bladder wall or my muscle. So right now, my cancer is like zits growing within a bladder. They grow outside like zits, so that they won't hurt you, won't harm you. They can make your bladder lining thinner, but basically, just like zits. Now, when they start growing inward as well, that becomes a problem, and that means that the tumor's getting bigger and it's spreading and it's going in that way. That was always my concern. Like, I didn't want to die of cancer in prison, and God forbid I didn't want my bladder taken out. You get your bladder taken out, your chances of losing your sexual function are great. So even though I had a life sentence, I always believed I was going to get out, especially after I got together with Marta. And that was the last thing I wanted to do, was lose my bladder or my sexual function. So, every time I was late, I panicked. I hit the panic button. So that probably happened. That happened at least 3, maybe not 4 times at FCI Terre Haute, and in fact is one of the reasons I got out of prison. I use that as an example in my compassionate release brief, along with a whole bunch of other stuff. But it was because the prison medical system was delayed, and that delay can then cause me death. I got out of prison April 13th, 2021 on a compassionate release, and I cannot believe it's been over 10 months. It's just crazy that it's been over 10 months, because sometimes it seems like yesterday. Sometimes more often than not, it almost seems sometimes like I've never been in until I start telling these stories. It's really a trip. Like, when I drive around and stuff, there's times I feel like I've never even been to prison. Anyway, when I got out, the first thing I had to do is get medical insurance. That's totally new. In prison, we're communist medical care system, or socialist medical care system, everything's for free. And out here, it's not. Little bit of difficulty navigating that, going to the, where you got to go to apply for like food stamps and all that stuff. That department, filling out the paperwork. Then I couldn't get the paperwork filled out. I went online, and online was like, that took me almost a month to do because I kept fucking up, and somebody had to eventually help me. Then I ended up getting a job, and they didn't qualify for state help, so they put me on like Better, federal help, so they put me on state help, which is Better medical coverage, which is what I have now. After getting insurance, you have to go to a doctor, whatever. I went to Mercy Hospital here in Fort Smith, Arkansas. Mercy's a pretty big deal out on the West Coast. We got Kaiser, same kind of idea. Went and saw out here, it tripped me out because you go to a PA, you don't go straight to a doctor. or at least they don't in Mercy. So in prison, we saw the doctor twice a year. I saw the doctor twice a year, and the PA 4 times a year. But you had to go to a PA to go to the doctor. To this day, I've never seen a doctor. I've seen a PA and a bunch of specialists. So I went to the PA, Mandy, and one of the things I've been doing I did in my early stages was no matter where I went, the first thing I told people was that I just got out of prison after 24 years. Some people shy away from it. I went the opposite direction. Why? Because sometimes I felt like an idiot. I was overwhelmed, embarrassed. I found it better and easier just to say, hey, I'm computer or technology illiterate. I had never been on the internet until just the other day. That's true. I never was on the internet before I just got out of prison. Not in 97 when I was out. Never went on 95. Never. So I felt it best to tell people. Well, I told the PA. She was less than thrilled. Just drilled me about the whole narcotics part of it. Like, are you an addict? When's the last time you used? Okay, that's cool, but like, most people are like, you what? You had a life sentence and you just got out? Oh my God. This lady was like, another junkie. Another dope fiend, something, that's pretty much how I felt. Went and got my bladder checked and I had cancer. And here's what happened. At the same time, like within a week, I went to the cardiologist, and I have a heart condition that my heart goes out of whack. I don't even remember the name, and I should know that. So all my life I've been dealing with the heart condition, and the same thing has happened to me all while I was in prison. I go to a cancer doctor, then I go to the cardiologist. The cardiologist doesn't clear me. It holds up my medical care, and then they have to fix it and blah, blah, blah. And the whole time I say, hey, listen, if you do an 8 kg, I'm going to come up abnormal. I do every time. If you do running the stress test and you use dye or whatever, you're going to find out I have heart blockage, but they're mild heart blockage and moderate heart blockage, but it shouldn't have anything to do with clearing me for these other procedures I'm going to need with my bladder. Every time I tell them, give me some papers, I will sign whatever you need. Just make sure that the cardiologist does not hold me up from getting further appointments. Went to the cardiologist here, did the same thing. Put a hold on me. I got cancer. Now, in full disclosure, when I found out I had cancer, I was 2-3 weeks away from my wife arriving from Spain, a wife that I never had sexual intercourse with. So I said, hey doc, make sure, why don't you give me a blah, blah, blah. We had it worked out to where I was to get my surgery done 2 weeks after my wife arrived. Figured, one day would be enough, but 2 weeks, whatever. Cardiologist didn't clear me. Called the cardiologist and I said, look, I got bladder cancer. It's in my bladder right now. I need to get this cleared. Okay, urology, so we don't know nothing about it, but you have an EKG. When's your EKG? So, okay, it's going to be in February. February what? February 2020. February 2023. Okay, no, we have one in January 2023. This is August, by the way. So I said, look, this isn't going to work. I can't do this. I have to be cleared. Tell the cardiologist just to write down cleared, whatever. Can't do that, sir. Cancer's growing. Now, I'm not in prison anymore. I'm on the streets. So thinking about the cancer growing in you and getting, bigger and bigger, it's not the same when you're on the street as it is in prison. So, but started getting a little panicky, and called the PA. Said, look, there's a systemic problem. Can you call urology? No, you can call them. I can call them. Called urology, said urologist won't clear. Heart doctor won't clear me. We have to get a clearance. We can't do nothing about that. You need to talk to them. So, tried to talk to them again, wouldn't clear me. One day my mom suggested, made me get on the phone, and lo and behold, I was able to get cleared a couple months early. Nevertheless, I was some months late. Go to the doctor, remove the tumors, said everything looked normal, looked like non-invasive, blah, blah, blah. Some months later, I get a phone call. It was on a Sunday. Knew something wasn't right. So my tumor has entered my muscle. bladder wall muscle. 52 years old, so they want to like take out my bladder. They're really pushing, actually. If you want to get serious, technical, or just tell the truth, they're pushing me to have my bladder removed because I've now had 23 reoccurrences. That means, you know what, 20%, which is really a 2% chance of losing sexual functions. I'm 52 years old. My wife's 36. Get it? So here's my point. I've had like probably a more difficult time with medical care on the street than I did in prison. And it makes me wonder a bunch of stuff. Makes me wonder if socialized medical care isn't better. Makes me question if this is something like, like the stars have aligned. It's like some kind of sick joke. Yes, you're out of prison. You're going to beat your life sentence, but we're taking your bladder out. It makes me question a bunch of shit. I do know that if you're in prison and you can speak to people and you're not assholes to people, prison medical care, you can stay on top of your issues and not let it go. They did a pretty good job with me. I have to admit that now. Out here, I still don't know. So I finally did get it all like cleared and stuff, but it took forever and an act of Congress almost. Well, I can't call Congress no more. Like I could in prison. Hey, they're not giving me, don't even know where to go. So it's been a lot different navigating the system. And like I said, so I've got another appointment here this week to scrape my bladder to see if there's any cancer in it. And all because I couldn't get cleared in time by the cardiologist. And that's the truth. That pisses me off. Sometimes it really makes me angry. I'm not gonna lie. And I wasn't really like an angry person before. Yeah, it's like sick. But the point of this video wasn't really about that. It was about just to point out the difference, like be careful what you wish for as far as prison. All seriousness, be proactive in prison medical care if you or your loved one isn't. If you go to prison, your loved one goes, or you have somebody in prison, if they're proactive, it does help. Not always, I get it. There's lawsuits, people die in prison from lack of medical. I know it all. I know all that. In my experience, I'm just giving you my experience. We're gonna go live. Marta,
yeah.
What am I going live on and when?
Okay, I don't know. Tomorrow maybe not. So.
Listen, guys. So I've got a colonoscopy tomorrow. I'm drinking Go Lightly right now. We were gonna try tomorrow. Then I'm like, you know what? Let's just Tuesday's the first. We're gonna get whatever I say, and this goes not only on YouTube but in life. If I say like tomorrow at 5 o'clock, then it's got to be done. Tomorrow I am on Stax's show. I am doing an interview. I know. Go ahead and make your comments, smartasses, about eating crow. I did promise him a long time ago, and he called me like, "What the fuck? Are you serious? You're not gonna?" Anyway, I'm gonna be on that show tomorrow. I'm gonna do some others that I promised. There's several that I promised, and that's what I'm gonna do for now. Doing live. I'll put out something tomorrow saying exactly when and where. Appreciate your support. Thank you. Good night.